for the opportunity to share our story this evening. I thought it'd be really good to just spend the first couple of minutes just giving you some context, because I think it's important for you to know where we've come from to understand where we are today. So we've been living and working in Rawmarsh since 2008, and we have a deep sense of calling that this is where God wants us to be. Prior to this, we have been missionaries in Romania from 1999 to 2003. And on returning to the UK, Neal completed his degree in Christian leadership and trained as a minister with the AOG Church through Mattersea Hall Bible College. And it was through this connection that we ended up in Rawmarsh. In our initial years here, we were part of the Hub Christian community, who had a huge vision for community and mission, and enabled us to attend the mission-shaped ministry course. And this is where we first heard of Fresh Expressions. We were a part of the key leadership team at the Hub, but needed to fund our ministry. And I was fortunate enough to be employed by the Methodist Church as a lay children's worker. The two roles together enabled us to build lots of connections within the Rawmarsh community, especially through our local schools. And it was during this time we prayed on every street in the Rawmarsh community.
Yeah, sometimes in cars for those people that couldn't walk very far, and sometimes we walked it every single street. And I used to send out a text called text 3 streets or something like that. And I used to send out, and it took a couple of years to send out a text with 3 streets on for people to pray for over the years. As our schools work grew and developed, we got more and more connections, and our heart for Rawmarsh actually grew bigger. And we had lots of changes happening both within the Methodist Church and at circuit level, and also within the Hub. And ultimately, we decided we were going to step away from the Hub and launch what is called Art Church in Rawmarsh here. So our journey with the AOG did continue a bit, but their sort of ideas about what church was going to look like and our ideas of what church should look like didn't really align. So we made the decision to step away from that. So we're not part of any denominations, which has its advantages and disadvantages as well. But I think one of the things to pick up from something that Tim said, listening to your community is really, really important. And we went out of our way to build connections in our community. And initially, we didn't want to start anything new. In our experience, Christians are really, really good at going somewhere and starting something new because they think that's what the community needs. And actually, there's already loads of voluntary organisations that are crying out for volunteers. And so actually, we got involved in other local organisations that needed people to volunteer. And we could then meet people and get an idea. Over the years, we've been really heavily involved, as Nicky said, with schools. We've had something called the RE team, which we developed using aspects of the RE syllabus. We went into schools teaching that, did assemblies and lessons, and we did godly play. In fact, we've got a whole list that I might read out later of stuff that I thought about. I was going to put it all on a slide, but it's been so manic this week, we haven't had a chance to do anything. But and in more recent years, we've taken prayer spaces into schools as well. And so it's just, sometimes you need to find a gateway into your community. For us, it was through schools work.
Education.
For you, might be something else, but sometimes you need a gateway into your community.
I think perhaps one of the most profound moments in our time here was actually when a local deputy head took his own life, and we were approached by the school and asked to set up a prayer reflective space in the school. And over the following 2 weeks, as that community grieved the loss of Ian, that space became the hub of the community, with the doors being open to anybody who wanted to come in and pay their respects. We truly believe that this only came about because of our investment and the connection previously with the school community. Had we not spent years listening and building, we very much doubt we would have been trusted with this huge responsibility. And it was really pivotal to our ministry and our connection and our relationships with Rawmarsh and the community. The same school asked us if we could help them set up a breakfast club to address the deprivation in the locality. The breakfast club began in 2010 with a handful of volunteers from the hub and the community. When we stepped aside in 2017, the school were in full ownership of the breakfast club, and we had been able to not only support children and families, but create employment opportunity for people.
So a local group that we joined and that became part of, although I have to say it's more Nicky than me, is something called Rawmarsh Runners. And she became one of the Rawmarsh Runners when they started. And I just became the club photographer, which meant it was great. I could just stand and take pictures and I didn't have to do any running, which is big. But for me, that was good. But it's interesting how things go around in circles, because it turns out that the deputy head that sadly took his own life, his mom is now part of Rawmarsh Runners, and we're actually very good friends with her. And it's amazing how things go round and round in the community. Over the years, during the first year of the pandemic, as part of the club, we wanted to do something, and so they had came up with this idea of handing out Easter eggs to people. And so I said, well, I'll tell you what, our church will just buy a load of Easter eggs. So we did. We bought a load of Easter eggs, and then that sort of escalated from there, because suddenly the supermarkets couldn't get rid of them. They were given away for free. So, we bought them and then they were given away for free. And we spent sort of on Easter Sunday, on that first day of lockdown, all trying to stay socially distant, giving out Easter eggs to people in our local community. And it went on for about 6 or 7 hours, just walking around, just delivering all these eggs to people.
It was at the point when you had to be in very small groups. You could only be out in a very small number. So it had to be managed really, really well. So we would go out, swap over, another group would go out, swap over. And the way we did it was people actually had pictures up in their windows, so we knew which houses had requested an Easter egg, and it had a massive impact on the community, and it's continued. We did it in 2020, we did it 2021, and we've done it this last year.
So yeah, it's been incredible, and we've just launched a food bank here in Rawmarsh, along with part of the Trussell Trust. It really wasn't our intention to launch one, but things conspired around, and we ended up launching one. And if you'd asked me a few weeks ago what I thought, I don't want to be bothered anymore with the food bank, because there's a lot of work involved in it. But it was amazing. At the end of the first session, the very, very first person that came to pick up a food bank said outside a food parcel, said, I know you. And I said, oh, do you really? And I wondered what I'd done. And she said, yeah, you used to go to the Hub Church, and I used to be a part of that church. And she told me who she was. And it was just incredible to think that it had gone round full circle. And we are just sort of so, and I think we're reaping all of the years that we've invested in this community, because we've got 19 volunteers at a time when every other place tells us that you can't get volunteers. Well, we've got 19 volunteers, and we've got a list of people waiting to become volunteers. One of them is our local councillor, who we've helped him in the past, but he used to form a litter picking group, so we helped him that, and now he's helping us as part of the running the food bank. So what does our fresh expression look like? Chaos a lot of the time. If you want something neat and orderly, I probably don't do something else, certainly for us. We gather on a Monday evening, and purposely call it a gathering, not a meeting. because a meeting is just something you go to for business. And I like to think of the fact that we are a church all the time. So we gather together as church, and then when we disperse, we are still church. So this is our church gathering on a Monday evening. People come to, we're very small in number. There's about 7 of us, and over the years that has fluctuated a bit, but around about the same number with different people. People have left for different reasons, and other people have joined, and we just try and connect with people. We meet together over coffee and dessert, and I'll often share a story using something called Out of the Box, and which is very visual. But we very first started with those words that Tim talked about with Mike Moyner, and I heard him in a seminar in Sheffield, and I thought, oh, I remember that. And this must have been when he was just percolating through thinking about the book, because it was long before he'd written it, and it really does work. Just those simple questions, asking what would it be like if we were there, and simple questions. We've moved on a bit because things do, and people's needs change, and I just think that actually something that Tim said to me the other day, I think he was being complimentary, because he said, "You're ordinary people." So I took that as a compliment. I hoped it was meant like that. I says, "You're ordinary people, you just get on with it." And after our years of investment, we've now got permission. They trust us enough to feed them. And I thought that was quite a powerful statement for us. So we're carrying on. We are just sort of getting, we'd like to get out and about more. I said I can read a list of things that us and the church have been involved with over the years, from taking flowers into a local retirement home, and that was just a powerfully moving experience, just to take some small bouquets of flowers into a local nursing home to give them out to the ladies and the gentlemen that were there, and just to hear some of their stories, and some of them how, I think they really thought they'd been forgotten. And just it was just so incredibly moving. We've done things, like I've said, from litter picking to sort of, you name it. We've just about done everything we could possibly do, because we love this community. We are invested in this community, and I think for us, something that we both realized on that first night when we opened the food bank a couple of weeks ago, and there's a mom and a daughter that come to us. If I told you her story, then you would not believe it. You would think it is something out of EastEnders. Honestly, you would not believe what this family has been through. But I'll let Nicky just sort of share this story with you.
In 2010, we gave out some Christmas gift hampers in response to finding out that there was a lot of children and families in our community living below the deprivation line. And this family we're talking about were amongst the first people to receive one of those Christmas gift hampers, and they continued to receive them for 3 or 4, 5 years going forward. All 4 of the younger ladies' children have been through our RE team program. The older lady volunteered at Breakfast Club and then was employed at Breakfast Club. When we launched ARC, they started to come along out of curiosity, and they've never stopped coming. And this year we were on holiday in Scotland, and we have a WhatsApp group for church, and I just went to Neal, look at this. And the younger of the 2 ladies had actually put a message on WhatsApp to say, could she have some help with something? Well, we've known this lady since 2008, and she's never, ever asked for help. And so we really saw that as a poignant and significant moment, and to watch our gathering, our people come together and respond to that and sort that situation out, because we weren't around, we were on holiday. It was just an amazing moment. And like 14 years we've known this lady and she's never asked for help, but it was massive breakthrough. And now both mum and daughter are part of the team at Food Bank, and it's just quite incredible to see how God's been at work. So as we said, we're just ordinary people with a huge heart for our community, and we're just wanting to be God's hands and feet where we are. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our story, and I hope it just encourages those that are listening and considering fresh expressions, because just do it.